Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, real quick, let's go over what I've been reading. So, of course, you all know Expanse. Leviathan Wakes, book 1 in the Expanse series. I finished this. I'm doing this as a read-along with Moyd on his channel. I'm not going to talk about this even though I'm done with it, because I have not read the short story yet in Memories Legion called Drive, which is set in the time period of the first book. That's part of the read-along as well. I haven't read that yet, so I'm not finished with this read-along. I'm going to talk about that next week. Suffice it to say, I love that book. But, little spoiler, we'll go ahead with that. We'll talk about that next week. What else? George R.R. Martin, Fire and Blood. I finished this book this week, and this is what we're going to talk about. But let me say what, after I finished this book, I needed a palate cleanser. So, of course, I went to my best friend, old standby, Stephen King. So I'm reading If It Bleeds now, and actually quite a ways through with this. It's of course a compilation of short stories. There is a Holly Gibney story in here. I'm already almost done with it. My bookmark isn't where I'm at. I'm actually on the last story in this compilation. What a savior. Thank you, Stephen King, my old friend, constant companion, for bringing me out of the doldrums from this book. So, let's talk about it. George R.R. Martin, Fire and Blood. Real quick, the numbers. It was published in November 2018. There are 1,000,000 pages in this book. No, not really. 700, well, it says 736, but that includes, of course, the Targaryen lineage, which is actually kind of helpful when you're reading this. Some of the time periods of successions of the family Targaryen. So, Goodreads on this rating, overall rating is 3.92. All right, I need to take a breath. I need to relax. Really what I need is some help. Now, I don't have a lot of subscribers to my channel. It's still fairly new, about 6 months old. But I'm happy, it's doing well. I get about 30, views a video. 30 that aren't mine, and that's good. Now, what my hope is that people watch more than 5 minutes of my videos. I know they can run long, 20 minutes or so. I try to keep it at 20 minutes, but sometimes I start rambling. But what I wish is that when I had announced last month that I would be reading this book this month, and I had announced that I had not read any George R.R. Martin yet, and that this would be my first novel by him. Now, yes, I wanted to read it because the new series is coming out, and people, I guess a lot of it is taken from this novel. Well, somebody who watches my channel, maybe a couple people, if you are George R.R. Martin fans, you are A Song of Ice and Fire fans, maybe you could have gotten together and done an intervention with me and told me, please, Tad, if this is your first Martin novel, do not read it. Read Song of Ice and Fire, or any of his other books. Please do not read this book first. Well, unfortunately I did, because there was no intervention. Nobody told me this. And now I need help saving me from this piece of crap. I'm sorry if you're a George R. R. Martin fan. If you're a Song of Ice and Fire fan. I watched the TV series. I watched the Game of Thrones. And I will tell you that I loved every single minute of it. Even to the end. I do not understand why people there's so much vitriol, so much hate for the last season of this TV series. So much so that it spoiled, I guess, their whole viewing of the 6 prior seasons. Because while I was watching this series, everyone at work, everywhere, was talking about how awesome it was. But then all of a sudden, 7th season, now it's shit. I don't understand it. I loved it. But I hadn't read the novels. Now, I know people are hating on George R. R. Martin for not finishing the novels, and especially for writing this. This is 736 pages of a huge novel that he could have, I guess, spent time finishing the series. All right, so he didn't. Maybe this was something that was burning in his brain ever since he started writing about Westeros and all these different families and everything. And he just needed to get this out. Or he had plans of doing another TV series and he needed to get this out. I don't know. But, all right. Yes, if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I read everything. And I love my historical books. I love history. History was a minor of mine in college. I even toyed with being a history teacher for a while. And I love reading, I guess, true history. This is fantasy history. This is a history novel. Maybe I expected something else. Maybe I expected more of a type of a prose where he's telling a story and that's how the history is developing. But this is really purely a historical novel. Now, I did see, I don't do research on the books before I read them. I do some after I've read a book to see what other people's opinions were of it. It helps round out the whole experience of reading the book. But this one, I knew it was a history of the Targaryens, and the dragons and all that, but I didn't know that it was just going to be so freaking dry. I did watch one video recently where they said after the first 150 pages, it really picked up. No, not for me anyways. I'm sorry. The first 150 pages were the best of the book. That was the beginning of the Targaryens and, how they went to Castle Rock and founded the city and the sword, the Throne of Swords and all that. The beginning, the early dragons that they were riding, and of course them. Really, it's the strength, right? It's the military strength that they had utilizing these dragons that really put them on the throne and made them the people that everyone, looked up to. Well, this book starts with that, and it was really cool. They do go into, how they marry their sisters, or a lot of incest and stuff. But after about the first 150 pages of this book, it just started going downhill for me. And by the time I got to the part that I thought was going to be interesting, the dance of dragons, or the dying of dragons, they call them here, It just got to be where it was page after page after page of murder. This and names. There's so many names, just you couldn't keep track. Murder here. This person was murdered on this page. 92 AC. I just picked this out of the blue. Aemon, Prince of Dragonstone, Tareth. It just goes on and on. Now, it is kind of interesting how the history is being presented. Of course, a Grand Maester is telling this history, and he explains how he gets the history from different sources. Some may be more reliable than others, some funny, some not, but it just devolves into this constant murder, 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 cut their tongues out, disembowel them, hang them, murder, murder, backstab, poison, murder, 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 murder. This person was murdered, this person. Now, I understand he had to tell some type of story showing you the rise of the Targaryens and then the fall of the Targaryens and how they fell, and, you know, the dance of the dragons, the death of the dragons, so we can get to the point where we're at the Game of Thrones series and, of course, the TV series. But, man, it was so boring. The names start running together. Now, the names are kind of cool because you get to see from, you know, the Game of Thrones series where some of these people got their names. There's Joffrey's in here, you know, there's a little bit of the Starks in here, but the Tullys, and you just, Bran even, you see where these names kind of come from, because they do like to, you know, like a lot of people, I named, you know, one of my sons after my father. Things like that. That was kind of cool, I guess. But they start just running together, and it's so freaking boring. Unfortunately, this book is going to be, at the end of the year, on my most disappointing books. So, what am I going to do? Now, I have no plans whatsoever to read any George R.R. Martin. So I need another intervention. If you are out there, if you are watching this, if you are a George R.R. Martin fan, a Game of Thrones fan, Westeros, all that, please talk me off the fence. Put in some comments. Why should I go back and start reading more George R.R. Martin? Why I should read any more of the series that isn't complete? Is it that much better than the TV series? Because I love the TV series, and I'm still interested in watching the new one. Especially now that they announced that there's going to be a Snow TV series. Of course I'm going to watch that. I love Jon Snow. I mean, that was a great part of the TV series. But please, somebody, tell me why I should go back now, get off my fence, and read George R.R. Martin. Maybe even something that's not, you know, Westeros. Something that's not Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones. Because I would like to. I want to love it, but this hurt me so much. It hurt me in my soul. It hurt me. When I got done, like I said, I had to read a palate cleanser. I had to read Stephen King. So I grabbed If It Bleeds, short stories, and I'm loving it. It's calming me down. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something though. The artwork in this is awesome. I've heard people even say the best part of this book is the artwork. That's the inside cover there. Yeah, it's interesting. And there's a lot of it too. Let me see if I can find something for you here. Well, That's kind of tough to see, but there's a dragon in that one. The back has a dragon on it. I enjoyed looking at the pictures more than reading the book. That's kind of a shame. It shouldn't be that way. Look at this one. That's pretty cool. But anyways, man, I just totally did not like this book. And I'm a history fan, but not made up history, and not the way he did it. Just name drop after name drop after name drop, murder after murder after murder. Now it even makes me look back at the TV series that I watched and say, wow, it really was a lot of extraneous murders. And is this just all this world is made up of? Is people killing each other and cutting each other's heads off and poisoning each other? I guess what it is. But anyways, please, if you like George R.R. Martin and you feel that you could save me, please give me some suggestions. Talk me down off the fence. Tell me why I should not give up on this because of this first impression. That's all I got to talk about. I just am so dissatisfied with that book. All right, guys. So please make some comments on this. I'd love to see what other people have to say. Maybe even you hated the book as well. I don't know. Let me know. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. You all have a good day. Peace out.